Back to another episode of Sai's Eyes. I'm here at Optimist Hall right now, enjoying the weekend, doing some of my tasks and weekly review items, stuff like that, enjoying the beautiful weather. Wanted to read, wanted to journal, didn't get to that, but got a lot of work done for the few hours that I was here. But wanted to continue along my SaiOS Life Operating System series here with the podcast. And so we've kind of covered within the alignment zone, we've covered the top level aspirations as well as the affirmations. So all the databases in there, all of the text, all the different components that make up those two levels of the pyramid so far. And then now we will go into the lowest level of the pyramid, which is the actions. And so what exactly do the actions entail? So there are primarily two databases within the action level of the pyramid here. So there's the project database as well as the action items database. So the action items database rolls up to the project. So action items are part of the project. And so I'll be going to the project one first since it's higher level, and then I'll go to the action items one in the next episode, presumably. So in the project database, I have, I'll go through the fields and then I'll just list out the different projects that I'm working on in Q2 and go from there. So, sorry. For the blog project, for the project database, the fields here are, the name of the project, obviously, and then the status. I have a status field, which options of in progress, on hold, next up, future, someday / maybe, end of quarter, and completed. So most of them, hopefully that makes sense or self-explanatory. Kind of in progress, obviously, that I'm working on right now. So I have a few projects that are in progress right now. On hold, there's a few stuff that I wanted to start, maybe started Q1 but didn't get to fully, and it's not really top priority. And if I have time, which I'm not sure about that, I'm not sure if I want to make time for maybe those on hold projects. So we'll see. But just as designation there that I got from August Bradley in the way that he designed his project database. And then I have a next up, which is kind of the next level of, it's not in progress, but after I'm done with the current projects that I'm working on, then I'll be moving this up from next up to in progress. And then future is stuff that I want to be keeping track of, potentially that I want to, that I've slotted for this quarter, or maybe that I've slotted just as an idea and that I might get to, something that I want to get to at some point, but now may not be the correct time. And so then beyond that is the someday maybe designation, which is if I have time in my life to get to this, great. If not, it's just an idea, and it could progress from there. However, I see fit, or if I share with someone, I'm sure they can run with it or whatnot. But that's just a someday maybe. It's just a little brainstorm. So it's not, so I have a thought vault that has a list of brain dump or whatever you want to call it, an inbox of ideas. Those are more individual thought idea level. These someday maybe are similar to that, but more on a project level. It's it'd be cool to start this business or this idea or app or something like that. So it's more of a project that I would build out that's a potential idea. And then end of quarter, I created this a couple weeks ago, when I was doing the quarterly circle, just to make sure that stuff that was in progress or stuff that I was working on or didn't get to in Q1, that I'm tracking it with an end of quarter, that it's easier to track that way, and I can filter by which projects have not, are end of quarter or not end of quarter, depending on the filter and view that I want to see. And then I have a completed one. So I had about 6-7 projects that I completed in Q1, and that's very straightforward there. And then next field I have is priority. So this is very similar to tasks as well. It's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth priority. So pretty straightforward. Now the next field that I have is called domain. So we haven't really talked about this at all yet. But domain is kind of like it's a categorization of different, not ideas, different sections of my life operating system. So these don't, stuff technically rolls up to these, but I don't use them actively other than for categorization in my, let's say folder structure or Google Drive folder structure or my hard drive file structure, stuff like that. It's just easier to categorize and build out separately. So if I give examples, I think it'll make more sense. And so I have 8 or 9 of these domains. So one is learning and seeking, one is health and wellness, then human connections, and bold ideas, journey documentation, spirituality is fun, financial, and personal admin / planning / other. So you can kind of see how, so like the journey documentation domain, there's a few projects that fall under this category, under this domain. The blog, the vlog, this podcast, newsletter, stuff like that, where things that are part of documenting that journey. Financial, let's say, financial portfolio project that I've alluded to a few times in these last few podcasts, that is in there, like the garage sale arbitrage project that is currently in progress right now. That's a view from I categorize that as financial, since making money there. And then Q3 planning, let's say, that one would go under personal admin or planning / other. And so, these are just categorizations and domains. It's nothing too much within the system other than to create a file structure and to categorize. Not too many other functional use cases here. And then similar to affirmations, I have a completed and goal fields as well. So the goal for some of the journey documentation ones are going to be the number of content pieces that I publish. So for the blog, let's say I'm on the blog project right now that I'm on my phone with, and so it has a goal of 91, which are the days 7 times 13. Right, yeah, 91. So that's if I publish a blog every day, if I journal every day and publish it every day, that's the goal of reaching 91 blog posts in this quarter. And so pretty straightforward there. And then a progress formula bar, which is just calculating the completed divided by the goal. And then a little notes section, notes field, which is usually empty. And then I have a few roll-up fields, which are just keeping track of how many action items are related to this project and how many are completed and not completed and total. So it just uses the relation between this project database and the action item database, and then just sees how many action items have been check-marked complete and not been check-marked complete, and just does a total count there. And then it's related to the action items database, like I mentioned, as well as a quarters one, to make it easier to filter by what are all the projects that I'm working on in Q2 2021. I can just filter by that very easily, instead of like in progress, next up, future, which all those different values of the status exist within that Q2 2021 filter. And then I have a projected hours and actual hours as well. So in addition, so kind of two ways of tracking here that I use, right? So it's like the action items of completed versus non-completed is one way of tracking progress here, as well as a completed versus a goal. So that's sort of two ways. And then the actually third way is this hours. And so this hours one is for every action item that I have in my database, at least the ones that I've planned in the quarterly planning, in the quarterly circle, I'll project how long I think the task is going to take in hours. So if it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 1.5, 0.25, or 15 minutes, let's say, but I build all that into the action items, and then I just do a sum of using the roll-up feature. With numbers, you can do a sum of. And so projected hours, it takes all the action items that are related to this project and sums up the ones for the projected ones, and then the same thing for actual hours taken for the tasks that have been completed. And so then I have a hours progress formula as well. So it sees what is the actual divided by the projected hours spent. And so I can see, am I spending 80%, like when I complete a project, am I at 80% of the hours projected, or am I 150? Did I not do planning quite right and not foresee everything, and could improve there? So that's a gauge for that. That's the reason for having that there as well. And then I have a content pipeline relation as well, which I'll go to another episode, where it just has, it's a relation, and it's related to the different content pieces that I want to publish. So let's say I'm on this blog project, I can go straight out from this blog project into each of the blog content pieces that I've published or is on the content calendar. And so it has 91 content, pieces of content, and so I can just easily click into that field and click on blog number 32 is whatever date that is, and just go straight to there and then view whatever information that I want to from there. And then I have relations established with the affirmations database and a few vaults. So the wisdom vault, the book vault, the media vault, and the thought vault. So we'll get to all the vaults in later episodes, but all those relations do exist if I want to. So we've gone to the affirmations. So for the blog, one of them is like sharing, right? I am now comfortable. I'm now at ease sharing whatever I choose with whoever I choose, right? So that affirmation would have a relation here with this blog project. And so those are all the fields that are within this project template or project page. And then below that I have, you can build out the template to have all the text as a template as well. And so every time that I just click new project, there's already stuff that's filled in. And so what's filled in, so these are prompts that I want to be asking myself every time I start a project. And I'll be filling these in maybe as I create them, but definitely when I'm doing the quarterly planning, all of these sections will be filled in. So the first one is kind of the alignment. So it's kind of like I really like cool sounding, like resonating things. So that's the reason why I had like the AAA or like the A3. I don't know. I need to brand that actually with the pyramid of aspirations, affirmations, and actions. This one, I have alignment, accomplishment, and advancement. So alignment is the project purpose. Why this project? And so for the blog, it's to share my most personal, insightful, profound, mundane moments. I'm already journaling and talking about those insights to my social circles, so might as well make it easier for them to follow my journey. I and others can explicitly see how I was thinking and what I was doing during certain points of my life. And so that's the project purpose for this blog. I've read that verbatim. And then the next section is the accomplishment. Is basically the goals and the deliverables. So it's what will be the outcomes. So purpose, the alignment was the why, the accomplishment is the what is. And so it's a blog post published every day for the quarter, totaling to 91. So, that's the deliverable for this project. And then the advancement is milestones and task brainstorm. So how will I get there? Alignment is the why, the accomplishment is the what, and the advancement is the how. And so this one's pretty straightforward. It's just needing just one task of publishing the blog. Since I'm already writing the journal, I don't need to, and since that's already a habit, I don't need to actually explicitly write that in. but I do need to have one for publishing the blog so I can keep track of that. And then I have another other thoughts section, so if any brainstorm or other ideas that I want to include in it, I'll just write that down. Maybe for nomenclature of how I want to have each of the tasks or the content names, so that I can easily find it or easily keep track of it or easily duplicate and change the name as I go on for the number 1 through number 91 throughout the quarter. I can easily have that nomenclature systematically in there from the beginning, and it'll be consistent across this quarter, next quarter, or at least one. It'll be consistent across one quarter, and then if I do keep it consistent across quarters, it's easier to track. And then below that, I have a section for action items, and so it's a toggle as well, which I can just click the toggle button, and it'll drop down and show the action items database. And this is all from the project page itself. So that's pretty cool. I don't have to leave this project page, so I can scroll up to see, what were the, how will I get there? Like what are the tasks that I need to do? And then I can just scroll down a little bit and see the action items. Or like, let's fill these in. Let's take those stuff that I brainstormed and then fill them in the action items database, just like that. So that's pretty cool. And then I have a table of contents just to scroll through, and maybe if I'm at the top, I can just click through, and if it's a long project page that I'm filling in, I can easily navigate within the page itself. And then finally, there's a couple sections of notes. This is mostly when I can start the project, or have started it and then currently underway. I'll just input notes in here. For the blog, it's empty right now, just because most of the stuff I journal anyway, so. And then the last section is the resources / links. So if there's any, I'm sure like financial portfolio or like the education project, I'm sure those will be filled up with lots of resources, notes, and links to different content sources, different relations to vaults, different, thoughts and ideas of my own as I build that out. So, but for some of these other projects like blog and stuff like that, these sections are going to be as pertinent. And so that was a run through of the project template and the project page. Right now I'm going to go through each of the projects that I'm working on for Q2. It may not be as relevant since I think this episode might be coming out end of May or beginning of June or something, but it'll still be in Q2. So I'll just run through the projects that I'm working on. So garage sale arbitrage, like I mentioned before, I have just a bunch of stuff that I need to sell. It's taking up space in my closet. Then I have the vlog, blog, podcast, unplugged side budgets, a newsletter. So those are all content-driven projects. And then personal admin. So anything. So a lot of my recurring tasks, like uploading pictures and videos, or doing my personal budget, or just paying credit cards, stuff like that I want to keep track of and remind myself. It's just some personal admin. So it's a kind of a catch-all. And then financial portfolio, Spirited Dojo, which is like the school project. So one piece of that, starting that right now. So some of these are in progress, and then some of these are future projects, as a status. And then fantasy football commissioner, so just figuring out, wrapping up the season in terms of the SACO, or the prizes have been paid out, so that's fine. But yeah, SACO and any league changes that we want to make, just figuring that piece out. Just want to track that. Expanding my network, so being more deliberate about who I'm reaching out to on LinkedIn, how I'm positioning myself, etc. And then Q3 planning, so I just wanted to keep track of that, any ideas that I want to have and stuff that I want to do during my quarterly circle at the end of Q2 going into Q3, I'll just jot down in there. Notion V2 is another project that I have, so I've been kind of using this as my V1 for Notion. Obviously I've been iterating along the way, but a more full rebrand, if you will, of Notion, and stuff that I'm using, stuff that I'm not using, leaning more into. Let's cut out, become more lean. So it's the purpose of that project. And then a personal card documentation. So I have a bunch of greeting cards and thank yous and birthday cards and all that stuff that I've piled up and I've accumulated. And those are, I treasure those. I'm very grateful that people, are give those cards to me and write out how they feel, etc. And so I want to keep track of that digitally in addition to physically as well. So just as a quick project to take pictures, type them all out just so I have them digitally. And then a workout plan is the project name. It's just to go through kind of the database, a public database that I posted on the workout playlist, and kind of go through each of them, figure out the different workouts that are there, the exercises, and potentially build out my own exercise routine. And I don't know what plan from there is, but just capture all that. And maybe I create my own videos, but yeah, that's just the workout project there. And then so those are all my projects that I'm working on this quarter. I'm sure some of these will be, and the nomenclature that I use for all of these projects is a project name, and then the pipe, and then Q2 2021, since some of these will to distinguish when I search for them. So vlog and blog, it's going to be consistent across quarters. So I want to be able to distinguish if it's which quarter am I working on this blog in, right? So just a nomenclature thing there. But yeah, so those are all the fields and those are all the entries in my project database. Oh, and then this is a function of Notion, but let's describe it real quick. Of views where I can basically filter and sort for different based on different fields and different values of fields. So I have a current quarters projects field that's on right now, and so that's filtered for all the Q2 2021 projects. So that's about 16 projects, and then sorted by status. So all the in progress ones I see them first, and then priority is also there. So I see the in progress ones first, and then within that, the first priority first, and then second priority, etc. And then I can create, I can just switch to a different view. Let's say I want to see all the projects that I just have, and maybe I'm doing my quarterly planning. I can go to the master table view that I have, which is no filters, but it is sorted just to have some level of organization in there. And so, the master table has all the projects, 50, 60, 70 projects that are in there, any brainstorm, a lot of someday / maybe ones that are in there. And so it's kind of easy to go through, and then I have a timeline view as well of the project projected timeline, as well as a project actual timeline, to see how I'm progressing throughout the quarter and keep track of that. And if I need to switch those around, I do those in my weekly review, as well as normal day-to-day as well if I have some time. And so again, that was a look at my project database. Hopefully that makes sense. Obviously it would help if there's a visual. I might do a YouTube series on this, but we'll see. But hopefully that gives some insight into how I'm organizing and thinking about projects. And of course, each of these projects have a lot of action items, or maybe not a lot, but have action items associated with them. So in the next episode, we'll be taking a look at the action items database, where I live 60-70% of the time in Notion, or at least accessing the action items database on a pretty regular basis and updating it pretty frequently. So that'll be an important episode, but I'll leave it here for now. It's already running up to 25 minutes, so I'll cut it here, but thanks for listening. Hopefully that was a insightful look at how I organize and think about projects, and approach how I want to accomplish different things that roll up to my purpose or my mission or the values that I want to live by. So hopefully that helps. Until next time, I'll, thanks for listening to another episode of SaiOS. I'll see you when I see you.